Hi everyone, I'm Chef Leroy and welcome to my cozy kitchen. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I definitely am. I just got back from vacation from Germany, so today is my first video back. I'm going to make a fresh tomato salsa today. And I'm doing tacos tonight, so I've got another method as well, but I'm gonna do a different video on that one. We're doing chicken El Pastor tacos, okay? The trip to Germany, I will be posting some travel videos as I filter through all my video. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to make fresh tomato salsa right now. So let's get that camera down to the board, show you what you need to work with. Okay, so for my fresh tomato salsa, what do you need? You need tomatoes. Okay, so in this bucket right here, I've got 2 pounds of fresh tomatoes. These are actually out of my garden. I got 2 small jalapenos, which are from my garden as well. I got a medium green pepper, a small lime. I got half of a yellow onion, 1 ounce of fresh cilantro. I've got some minced garlic. I'll give you the increments on that. And then I got my seasoning here, okay? I'll tell you what the seasoning is. In this bowl, I've got a half teaspoon of oregano. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, and that's my dry mix, okay? Now, you may have to adjust them as you go along. You'll have to taste everything and see how it all works out, okay? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with our tomato is we're going to put a little X on the end on this end here, okay? So it's opposite of the stem end, okay? So put a little X on the top, just like so. Okay, do that on all of them. Now I already have water working on my stove. You want to have boiling water going, and I'll show you that in a minute here. There you go, because what we want to do is we want to skin our tomatoes. All right, so go ahead and put these back in here, and I will transfer these to the boiling water that is on my stove. All right, so let's get that camera over to the stove, and I'll show you what to do. Okay guys, a couple things you'll need. You'll need a little strainer or tongs to get your tomatoes out of your boiling water. You need a bowl with ice water in it, and you just need your water up to a boil. So let's go ahead and add those tomatoes to it. The water displaced, so you'll see it go over the top. All right, so we want to let them cook for about 30 seconds, okay? Let's go ahead and put a little timer on. And then I've got my ice bath right here, so when the timer's up after 30 seconds, we're going to transfer our tomatoes into our ice water, and then we'll let the tomatoes sit for 5 minutes, okay? It's really important to leave them sit for 5 minutes. I'm gonna flip these over. There we go. You can already see the peeling is already starting to come up a little bit, which is good. And we're just about up on our 30 seconds. Okay, there we go. So go ahead and transfer your tomatoes to your ice bath. So, and we're gonna let them sit for 5 minutes, okay? All right, so 5 minutes timer is started, and I'm going to move these tomatoes back over toward my cutting board. Okay, so while the tomatoes are basically cooling down, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and process your green pepper and your 2 jalapenos. Okay, so that's the next step. So I'll get that camera down, I'll show you what to do. Action. Okay, jalapenos. Cut the stem end off, just like so. Cut your pepper in half. Now these are from my garden. I don't know how spicy they are exactly. So we have to try it, okay? So let's take a little piece off of one of them. Pop it in your mouth. Give it a try. Woo, got a little bit of heat. Okay, not bad. All right, well, anyway, what we want to do is go ahead and seed it, okay? I always like to use a spoon. If you use your fingers, a lot of times what happens is that oils get up underneath your nails, and let me tell you, it can sting later on, okay? Especially if you touch your eyes or something. So don't do that, okay? Let's go ahead and seed it out. And if you want to keep some seed and get it, you know, nice and hot, you can go ahead and keep your seed. Put some of the seed in there. That'll make it spicier. I'm trying to make mine a little bit of Minnesota nice here, so I don't want all that seed, okay? And the pepper itself is fairly spicy already, okay? So go ahead and discard your seed if you don't want it. You can keep part of it if you like. All right, next thing we'll do is cut our bell pepper in half, and we'll do the same thing. We'll seed the bell pepper. Just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook this stuff off with my tomato. So I'm going to give it a little bit of rough chop because my ending process is going to blend it, okay? You don't have to, you can do it other ways, but this is how I'm doing mine, okay? So just like that. Same thing with the jalapeno. Cut it down smaller, and same thing with the yellow onion, okay? Just cut everything into manageable pieces so it all cooks off about the same amount of time, okay? Now the lime and the cilantro, we will reserve those for a later step, okay? So that's it right there. I'm gonna go ahead and get a saute pan, and we'll go ahead and get the vegetables in there. And we'll probably need a little bit of oil. I didn't mention oil, so we will need about probably a couple teaspoons of oil. All right, so let's make sure we write that on the recipe. 2 teaspoons oil, okay? So timer just went off for my tomatoes, so let's stop that. All right, so we're gonna skin those, but why don't I go ahead and get these peppers into a pan, and I'll show you how to get all that set up. Okay, so I got my cast iron pan here. You can use whatever type of pan you want. And I said I was going to use 2 teaspoons of oil. I'm using extra virgin olive oil here. So 1 and 2, okay? So there we go. And let's go ahead and add that vegetables to the pan. So this is a cooked salsa. This one is a little bit different. If you don't want to cook it, that's more like a pico in a sense. But I want all these flavors to blend together really nicely, all right? So there you go. And then we have garlic. 1 tablespoon of garlic. Now you can use garlic clove if you like. I'd probably use a smaller one because minced garlic in water is a little less potent than whole clove. All right, there you go. So this is ready to go. I'm just gonna set this to the side. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is peel our tomatoes off here, if they work well. I'm gonna get some of that skin off. Let's go ahead and see how the skin just comes right up. Just like that, okay? And pull the skin off. Now, we don't want the core in there either, so we would need to pull the core out, okay? So let's get another knife. A smaller paring knife or a small knife here. Pop the core out. Okay, just like so, right? I got a bad spot here, so I'll take that off too. All right, now let's just set that to the side. Do the same thing with this guy. So the purpose, if you're blending really well, you probably don't have to take the skin off. But the skins are a little bit stringy. Now, a lot of, I just had a conversation with a friend of mine that's from Mexico, and he told me that his mother uses the molcajete or the pestle and muddle and that style to make their salsa. I'm not doing that. I'm going to use my NutriBullet to blend my salsa. So I'm still going to skin my tomato. Okay. So I don't have any stringy stuff in there. So I'll set that to the side. Same thing with the other one. Okay, now you have it all done. Okay, so go ahead and cut your tomatoes smaller, like your other vegetables. And just add them to your pan with your veg. Cook everything together. Okay, all the tomato are in the pan, and now we'll get that onto the stove, okay? So wipe your board down, everything cleaned up. All right, there you go. So let's get that on the stove. Okay, well, we've got our tomato and pepper, onion, garlic. That's all working here on my stove, okay? And I'm using my cast iron pan. Looks really good. So basically what you're gonna do is cook it down until the vegetables are soft. And then you need to cool this whole mixture off before you can blend it. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and let that cook down and get back to it in a little bit here. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, everything is done here, pretty much. I'm going to go ahead and shut my stove off here. So the peppers are a little bit, now they're nice and soft now. And I'm gonna blend this too, so you don't need to cook them too far. Basically, I'm waiting not only for the tomato to break down a little bit, but I'm also looking for the onions to become clear as they are, okay? So let's go ahead and turn off the stove. Turn off my fan, which is so noisy, and I'm gonna slide this over, okay? Now, I have induction, so it doesn't matter, I didn't really have to move it. But what I wanna do is I'm gonna get this into something else so it can cool down in my refrigerator before I blend it. So let's go ahead and pour that into a bowl, which I have right here. Go ahead and dump this right into the stainless bowl. Just like that. Scrape that out a little bit. Get all that goodness out of there. Okay, there you go. So go ahead and refrigerate this until it's cool, all right? So that's that step. And then I'll show you how to put everything together in the blender. All right, guys, it's time to blend the salsa, all right? So we got our blender container here, okay? Here's our salsa here. We're gonna go ahead and spoon that in there into our blender bottle. Try not to make too much of a mess. Okay, just like so. Okay, there we go. Now we have everything in there except for what? We need our cilantro, so let's go ahead and put that in there. It's 1 ounce of fresh cilantro. Mostly the tops, the leafy part. All right, now this is our dry mix. Okay, and I'll give you the increments again on the dry mix. So in this bowl, I have half a teaspoon of oregano, dry oregano. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon chili powder, 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, that's what's in here. Go ahead and dump that in. Now, you may have to make some adjustments if the flavor's just not there. Then we have 1 fresh lime, okay? A lime squeezer here. And squeeze that juice right in there. Just like that. That'll add a nice fresh taste to it, okay? There we go. All right, let's put the blade on. Again, I'm using a NutriBullet or the Magic Bullet. Make sure you tighten it on good. If you don't, this thing can leak. And it's loud. So here we go, action. There you go. All right, let it blend. Show you what it looks like when it's finished. All right, so the blender is stopped. Let's pull it off. Now, it's got this kind of funky green look to it, and that's because of the cilantro mixing with the tomato, so it turns it green. If you do not want that look to it, you could blend your tomato first and then add chopped cilantro to it at the end. But I chose to blend everything together. So the thing we want to do now is we want to go ahead and taste it. So you end up with basically a green sauce, okay? So let's grab a spoon and give it a taste and see if the salt is right and everything else. Oh my gosh. Wow, that, my friends, is really good. Wow, that is such good flavor. I am not going to add anything else to it. It just is super good. All right, there you have it. Fresh garden tomato salsa. It is absolutely fantastic. Again, guys, I hope the video was easy enough to follow along with. I showed you all the little parts to it. Again, I used 2 pounds of fresh tomatoes from my own garden. I wish I would have had cilantro of my own, but I didn't plant cilantro this year. I have parsley, I have basil, and I have dill. So anyway, that is what it is. Again, write your recipes down so you can make adjustments to them if it didn't work correctly. So I used a half of a yellow onion, large yellow onion, and I cut it up. We used a small green pepper, seeded, and added that to it. We used 2 small jalapenos and we seeded them. I used 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, a half teaspoon of oregano, 1/4 teaspoon cayenne, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon chili powder, 2 teaspoons salt, 1 ounce of fresh cilantro, and that was mostly the leafy part. I used 1 lime, as you've seen, and juiced it. And we used a little bit of oil. So we used 2 teaspoons of oil when we did the whole thing. We sauteed it, kind of sauteed it together. But write it down. You'll be happy if you do. All right. So that concludes our fresh tomato salsa for today. I will show you a picture of my whole meal later on so you can see how I use this salsa with my meal. You guys have a fantastic day. Please subscribe. It's free to subscribe. It just gives you a notification when the videos are dropping out there. And again, I hope you really enjoy these videos. Please give me a couple thumbs up if you do. Give me any comments at the end if there's any information you want or you want to add information. I'll be happy to respond to your comments as I see them. Otherwise, Chef Leroy, and out.